We should have known Moon Knight was going to be genius because Jeremy Slater is behind it, and he, of course, developed Umbrella Academy. He's a big player behind that show. And who's the big star over? Well, they have lots of stars on that show, but one of the huge standouts, of course, is number 5. And what is Moon Knight if not basically a number 5 show? Oscar Isaac even has the same look. And of course, Umbrella Academy has been all about unraveling mysteries, about the characters as well as what they're looking into. And that seems to be very much the case here. Genius, as I said during my trailer reaction, when it was revealed to us that this isn't an origin story, or at least a traditional one, because Oscar Isaac's character is already Moon Knight. He just doesn't know it yet because he has split personalities disorder, split personality disorder. Now, interestingly, a lot of you have been, you've over my time covering Marvel, especially as of late, a lot of you are always like, well, Grace, I had the captions on and they listed the characters. So I was like, all right, I'm going to watch this thing with captions. I'm going to watch it again with captions. And what do you know? I picked up some really interesting stuff. All right, so when we first see Oscar Isaac's character, he is not Marc Spector, but he is credited as Steven speaking. And what do you know? Steven Grant is one of Marc Spector's multiple personalities. Now, in the comics, Steven Grant is a Wall Street millionaire who provides the funds for Moon Knight. And basically, each one of his personalities serves a different purpose for the character for the vigilante as a whole, which is really a clever idea. But obviously, Steven here is not a Wall Street millionaire. He is, a bumbling archaeologist or Egyptologist, right? Quite charismatically, but not the same Steven Grant from the comic. So I'm going to go over the split personalities, but pay attention in particular to the names, because these are the names we're going to be looking for on the show. So there's Steven Grant, which we already discussed. There's Marc Spector, the original. He is an ex-CIA mercenary, and he provides the skills for Moon Knight, right? Then there's Jake Lockley, street smart cabbie, now a British cabbie. Oh, everyone's favorite. And he provides the intel, because he's like street level. He's hanging out with everybody. He's down at the pub where there are a lot of loose lips. I love it. And then there's Inner Child, which is a young girl. We'll see if they keep that for the show, who's supposed to represent his innocence, right? And then there's the newest, Mr. Knight, which apparently has been very popular with fans. Not a lot of Moon Knight fans, but that, just wait till the Disney Plus show hits. But this is kind of like a dapper gentleman, all dressed, dressed in all white, who is kind of like the public face of Moon Knight. Which I guess is why he hides his identity. He interfaces with their psychiatrist, and whenever Moon Knight needs to talk to a civilian in a civilized way, not beat the crap out of him. Finally, Boba Fett, take notes. Someone got the crap beat out of him. In this very it's actually not a teaser, even though it's incredibly short for Marvel. Usually their teasers are 2 minutes. This is just about, how long is this? This is a little under 2 minutes. So I guess it's close, but it feels very short. It feels like a teaser, although it's branded just a trailer. Maybe they're not going to give too much away. But anyway, those are the identities. And so let's, I think they're going to obviously be reworked, but keep an eye out for we have Steven and Mark in this trailer. I'll show you when it switches to Mark. And of course someone addresses him as Mark. Then there's Jake Lockley and Mr. Knight, and of course Inner Child. So we'll keep an eye out for them. All right, let's go through this. It's very good, very interesting. So here he is. He doesn't want to go to sleep, and he's calling a service. So he's locking himself in. You wouldn't think the inner locks would do much for him, right? You're like, he'd just open them. But then look at this. This is very clever. Combination lock, right? Because even if you might be able to find the key, only this personality knows the combination. I think that's excellent. Very, very clever. For anyone who reads Moon Knight, not a lot of people read Moon Knight. He doesn't even have a current title. There's no comic currently being published for him. Although I'm sure if this show is a success, he will get another one. But does his personalities share information? I guess they have to some degree. If what good is Jake Lockley's intel if you can't tell the rest of the group? But very, very clever. Very clever. So he has a service. Then he needs to help him stay awake because he says he can't tell his dreams from reality. And look, he wakes up So he's like, it's all just seems like a dream. Now look at this this is a very well edited trailer. So look, oh my goodness, the whole night's passed. He's changed his shirt. One of his personalities was apparently cold. So he pops up and he's like, oh gosh, and he's still tied. But I'd be like, did your personality just hook you back in? I wouldn't be surprised. So he's still there. Maybe it's a different personality because you think you would realize that he was tied to the bed. All right, but he seems to only be Steven. Love the branding on this trailer. We'll talk about that. He's in, jolly old London, running Mary Poppins. He's very tired. Look, see, I love that. He's so tired. I love the way he says this also. He says, I think I might be losing my mind. But he says it like the best Britishy accent ever. A British accent that I think people outside of Britain are it's designed for us particularly to love. If you're from the UK, do you think it's really stereotypical? It's like, is it like awesome or is it like Dick Van Dyke in Mary Poppins? Although everybody loves that accent outside of the UK. All right, so he can't stay awake. So I love this. There's something about reflections very much in this, and you can see that even shown here. Isn't that clever? Nice job, directing team. It's one guy directing most of it. So they have, Jeremy Slater is the showrunner, but they have a lot of Middle Eastern talent, not only in front of the camera, a number of actors, but behind the camera as well. So here we go. On that note, Ancient Egypt exhibit. There's always somebody at work, right? So she's Donna, as we know, not just from her name tag, but from the captions. She's saying, oh, you're useless, Stevie. And she's like, Steven, look at my name tag. That does not have the museum on it for some reason. So here's his home. I wasn't sure if that was his office, but that looks like the door that he locks up. So it's his home. Very interesting. And he hears phone ringing. And look at that. So I think he's plagued by Moon Knight's already operational, but he just doesn't know it. Some of you said you're not sold on the suit. I'd kind of have to agree with you. It seems a little bit bulky to me. Like it has a cool Egypt look to it, but it seems very bulky. It doesn't look comfortable. And I don't, it doesn't look like some, we'll see if we change our mind, but this is one of those suits where you're not like, oh, let me put that on. Instead, you're like, all right, that's a choice. I respect it, but I don't want to wear it. All right. So he's like, what's going on in here? So look at this. You can only see it if you freeze frame. But look at that! Oh, that's fantastic! I believe this is Khonshu, the Egyptian god of the moon, and he wants to talk to his disciple, who's going to be his disciple whether he wants to or not. And you can see the Moon Knight costume kind of mimics this god's costume because he's his, Moon Knight, he's Moon Knight's patron. So if everyone has gone through, even if it doesn't stick, everyone's gone through a phase of loving ancient Egypt and studying it. And of course, I'm no exception. So I'm very excited it's very rarely just explored in Western popular culture though. So I'm so happy to see this show doing it. Although I have to say this elevator gag and the whole thing that he's going through does remind me a little bit of the recent Candyman remake, right? Which even had a pretty darn good elevator gag. So that's a little disheartening for that film. Although that film, while visually stunning, directed by Nia DaCosta, who of course has gone over to Marvel for the Marvels, I think story-wise it didn't quite gel. So he's like, oh, look at those cheekbones, by the way. He's like, oh, thank you, lighting. He looks great. I also love the rings under his eyes. Very, very great. Like in an awesome way. You're like, you're cool, dude. So look, I don't know what's wrong with Khonshu. Maybe he's like, what's going on? What's wrong with you, man? You're my enforcer, and you're causing problems for me, maybe. So that's why he wants to have a word. Now that hand looks a little CGI. He goes to stop the door. Looks a little like a mummy. I love it. And sleight of hand, literally. It's just this woman. He's like, oh, I think I lost a contact. It's a very comedic trailer because it's Marvel. Of course it is. It's going to be funny. So, it's very funny. But I think, this is as dark as it's going to get. And I'll take it. I think it's pretty dark. So this March, barely, March 30th. So here's a phone ringing. Look at that. Look, the reflection doesn't move. We see two there. So maybe, he started out with just 3 personalities. So maybe that's what they'll start with here. So you see just 2 other people. Mark is one of them, and maybe the other will be Jake Lockley. We'll see. And so who left the phone for him? Was it Layla, as we find out in the captions when she speaks on the other end? Did he leave it for himself? And of course, there's a key to some place where he's got to go find it, right? And then there's also a charger cord and a flip phone. How long ago did he leave that thing? Or maybe, as I said in the trailer reaction, clearly it's from a villain, right? Don't trust it. And I love that there's an alligator there because, Egypt, the Nile, a lot of alligators there, right? I think that's just so cool. I think there are, right? Or at least Hollywood has told me there are. So he's like, who is this? And it's like, Mark, you're alive, thank God. And he's like, why'd you call me Mark? Now, this is the woman we've seen from the sneak peek at Disney the Disney Plus day, Maya Kalamui. And she gets pulled back. So I guess maybe she was on the mission with him on the excavation. So we'll see. She lost track of him because he turned into Steven Grant. He's been hiding in London. Now, this is Ethan Hawke. And he said that he based this on famous cult leaders. I believe the one down in Waco, right? I think in Waco, Texas. That would explain his hairstyle choice. But in the captions, it's revealed that he's Arthur Harrow. I don't know why they don't just say mysterious man. Why do the captions give everything away? Why don't they just go mysterious gentleman, right? So look, he has this cult. It's a classic cult move. Marc Spector, or whoever this is, or Steven Grant, thinks he's infiltrated the cult, but they all kneel at once, and he's not familiar with the routine, and he's exposed. We see it all the time. It happens a lot. And he's like, I'm not a professional, but Mark is. Now look, here's the thing. Remember, Mark's ex-CIA mercenary. So there's a reflection, and they said that this person talking in the captions was Mark. So do they switch? Does he have to look in a mirror to switch personalities? That would be interesting. So keep an eye out for mirrors too, right? That's how we can defeat him, put him in a mirrorless room. Wait till he turns into Steven and then be like, ha! So he's like, you have the voices in your head. It's difficult, isn't it? Embrace chaos. So, all right, so who is Arthur Harrow? So in the comics, Arthur Harrow is a surgeon/scientist, but I wouldn't let this guy operate on me. Maybe he was in the past, but I think now, I suspect he leads the cult of Khonshu, which in the comics both helps and works against Marc Spector, because sometimes they think he's awesome, and sometimes they're like, why you? We all love Khonshu more. We should be the Moon Knight. So I think this will probably be one of those situations where it starts out where he and Ethan Hawke Ethan Hawke thinks maybe they can work together and then decides maybe they can't. So don't be surprised if it's the cult of Khonshu. He's like, is he coming to you at night in the middle of elevators? I want to talk to him. All right. Now, this reminds me actually a little bit of Joker. So he's like, embrace the chaos. So we'll maybe see, how Mark, got split personality disorder. I believe I was doing my Moon Knight research, and it seems that there's some question as to whether or not Marc Spector started out with multiple personality disorder, or if perhaps his personality was splintered by Khonshu, for reasons that the God knows more than, mere man. So look, this is great. So he's going to flip. He's going to switch back and forth between personalities, obviously. So I guess Marc Spector, the mercenary, was in charge, but now Steven's like, or maybe it's Jake Lockley, is like, what the heck's going on? He doesn't want any part of it, and that guy falls right at the back. Very well edited. And look, so see, I wonder if when he's falling to his death, or if that's personalities changing. Who's going to catch him? I'm curious. Guest star? All right, so Egypt, ancient Egypt. There he is in a tomb. Oh, it looks great. Again, the cheekbones. And so he's running, and you can see a shadow of, looks like Khonshu's scepter on the floor. Or is that his shadow? That's interesting. So he's running. He's going to solve this mystery. And they're like, so embrace the chaos, right? So this is actually two things cut together of him transforming into Moon Knight. Here he is in a bathroom. I suspect it's the bathroom we see in a moment, which looks a lot worse for wear. So first he's just fine, and then he's going to transform. But then he transforms outside in the, I guess, that's the thing he was looking at with Mark. So early, just a few moments ago. But I think, it's a cool transformation. The way the bandages wrap around him, that's very cool. And he just lets it overtake him. That's cool. And it seems somewhat involuntarily, okay, it's great. It's really cool. So look, you can kind of see the head of who he's beating up there. And there's been rumors online that he's going to beat the crap out of Anubis, the Egyptian god, I believe, of death. And he's like, I guess this is the Egyptian version of not today, Satan, when he beats the crap out of him. And that's a mirror there. That's a mirror. Lots of mirrors in the bathroom. He changed a whole bunch of personalities. So he's capable of taking on an Egyptian god. And so you can see that's a mirror behind him. And there he is in his suit, which, of course, this is the photo that leaked, a couple of months ago. Now we get to see it without property of Marvel Studios written all over it. It looks pretty good. But again, I'm not in love with this costume, but, it certainly is not going to keep me from watching the show. And I'm kind of wondering how he puts that on. That's the thing. It's supposed to wrap around him, but I do not believe at all that those are bandages wrapped around him. I can clearly see that it's something that fits over him and it gives the look of being wrapped in bandages. But I'm like, no, that's pieces of armor. And so he's got the light up eyes. Who's in there, man? He's like, I don't even know. It's crowded. And so Moon Knight. And then I like the way they did this. This is great. Look at that. Look, hold on. Here it goes. Ooh, wee, he's the plus sign. Let's watch that again. I love that. Also, you can see that it's one of the O's is a moon. They both are, I guess. One's a full moon, right? And it's like, here we go. Wee! It's one of his lighter moments. You know, I think the show, let's see how dark Disney's willing to get. It's definitely going to have very light moments in it, though, because it is Marvel, it is Disney. But I think so far Oscar Isaac's doing a great job, and it's great. It looks really, really strong to me. All right, what did you think? Also, if you're a Moon Knight fan, I would love to, you're very rare, and we'd love to meet you of the comics. Share those thoughts down below, subscribe today, and of course, as always, you can check out some more videos right now.